Single-cylinder diesel engine. Definitely one of the greatest inventions in human history. The current machine. It is widely used in our country and Southeast Asia. Do you need this machine in your day? And the answer is yes. Not only do they use it, they make it really well. General. There are two major brands of single-cylinder engines in their local area. The first one is in the video. Kubota engine. The other is keeping horses. What is the engine of the little day? What is the difference between it and the domestic one? Then let's follow the video. Look down together. And this machine is Kubota's 2K80 engine. It's a single-cylinder, 4-stroke water-cooled small diesel engine. So it makes about 10 horsepower. It's 20 years old now. How about today? It is to do a renovation and repair of this machine. The first thing to remove is the decorative shell, the fuel tank headlights. At this point, start disassembling the water tank. The advantages of this water tank. Not the kind we usually see. It evaporates. After adding water, coupled with a cooling fan to cool down. Do not add water frequently, although the cost is higher, but it is very convenient during actual use, especially suitable for tropical regions. Here, remove the pulley. Start disassembling the flywheel. This big nut is very big. Remove the internal gasket after removing it. This gasket is also known as the lock blade. Then start disassembling the flywheel. You mount a disc with a homemade tool. Screw on the middle fixing screw. Hold the crankshaft. You can just take the flywheel off. This thing belongs to a diesel filter. They have this diesel filter, usually transparent. This is high pressure YouTube. Start disassembling the injector at this point. Remove the cover, then continue to disassemble. This belongs to the valve chamber cover. Remove the rocker arm. Remove the ejector. Remove these 4 large nuts. You can remove the cylinder head. There's a lot of carbon inside. Remove the valve lock. Remove valve spring and valve. The intake valve is generally slightly larger than the exhaust valve. This is to ensure more sufficient intake. This is the inspection cover of the crankcase. Remove crankshaft. This position belongs to the high-pressure oil pump. Start disassembling the gearbox. Let's interject here. Sometimes you have to accept. The machine workmanship of the small book is really exquisite. And it doesn't seep very much after running for a long time. The vibration is not large. I personally feel. This is one of the biggest differences from domestic production. But again, the price is also 2 to 3 times that of the same domestic model. But the engine of the small book. Horsepower is generally relatively small. Countries like Southeast Asia, especially in Thailand and Indonesia, it's all low horsepower, a stick steel diesel engine. Here's the camshaft. The gears opposite the gears have been disassembled. Pay attention to the condition of the inner wall of the cylinder. It is estimated that from this situation, grooves have been worn out. This is a plan to change a cylinder directly. A diesel engine like this, cylinder liners can be replaced separately, so the overall maintenance cost is not expensive. Generally, the cylinder liner will be replaced directly after removing it, or after the whole package is replaced. This machine is equivalent to an overhaul. In this way, in the process of reasonable use later, it's basically the same as the new machine. This is the second step of renovation, cleaning. Diesel engines generally have greater oil pollution than gasoline engines. After all, the compression ratio of this machine is relatively large. In addition, it is a single-cylinder engine itself. The vibration is still very strong. On each contact surface and the base. Generally, there will be oil leakage. To be honest, 20-year-old machines of the quality we have today, and such fineness, not much oil leakage is already considered good. This is the fuel tank. The first is to apply a layer of paint remover. After waiting for a few minutes, it is very convenient to remove the paint on the surface, body surface and internal components. Also need a thorough cleaning. Final renovation. Step 3, start painting. Also very particular. First spray the primer. Usually it is sprayed with epoxy primer. Make a rust protection on the surface of the body. The roll of anti-corrosion. At the same time, the top coat is sprayed for the next. Provides a high adhesion. This black belongs to the top coat. Spray paint is also very particular. Do a cover before spraying. This is a brand new cylinder liner. After all, it's an 80 machine, so the diameter of the cylinder liner is not very large. Now put on 2-foot water rings. Remember to apply lubricating oil before installing. This oil needs to be fully applied. This will make it easy to install. Otherwise, it is easy to damage all the water blocks. In this way, it is easy to leak after adding water later. At this time, set the cylinder into the cylinder body. Take a look at this gap. This is a bearing of the crankshaft. You can also understand that he is a big tile. The current bearings are generally tapered roller bearings, especially domestic single-cylinder engines. That kind of high-power one has that kind of roller bearing. In the case of using this tow ring, usually low-power engines, and previously designed machines, this is the crankshaft. Apply sealant to the partial cover before reloading. Install gaskets. Apply sealant again. Find the position of the partial cover and adjust the angle. Tap in with a rubber hammer. Just screw on the fixing bolt here and fix it. Take a look at the rotation amplitude. This bearing actually has balls on it. It's different from those tiles in China, except this bearing can be disassembled. Notice that his ruler belongs to the diagonal teeth, not a spur gear. Spur gear cost. Lower helical gears are relatively high, but spur gears make a lot of noise. Helical gear noise will be minimal. It's also a different place. This shaft belongs to the camshaft. Check mark is required before installation. All 3 gears need to be marked with a check mark. Position it with a set screw. Prevent axial movement. In fact, on the far right are 2 holes. It should be the balance shaft installed. Here, the small bays have also been reduced. Have to. It looks the same to me everywhere. The world is black. As long as there is capital manipulation, they will spare no effort to reduce costs. This is a brand new piston. Install the piston pin and connecting rod. Install the card room to prevent axial movement of the piston pin. The piston rings also need a new one. The first step is to install the oil ring. All the oil rings near the piston are called oil rings. The remaining 2 are called air rings. Piston ring. The first ring is generally of high processing strength. Some surfaces need to be plated with something, in order to increase wear resistance. The ring ports need to be staggered during installation. It is best to differ by 120 degrees. And the piston ring opening cannot be aligned with the piston. Cut position. There are no supporting special tools when installing. It is also very possible for 2 people to operate at the same time. Start installing the big head of the connecting rod here. After the 2 connecting rod bolts are fixed, just apply torque again. Install the gearbox. Sealant before installation. Craft paper gasket. 1 more layer. Installed in place. Penetration fastening bolt. Just fix it directly. This is the inspection of Kubota Township. Domestic machines are generally in this position. There will be a ventilation of Kubota Township. It's a little one-way valve. A steel ball with a spring. There's an airway leaking out. Its purpose: just to prevent the internal pressure of the body from getting too high. Prevent oil leakage. Start processing cylinder heads now. Cylinder head is also called cylinder head. It's called differently from place to place. Grind the valves. Use an electronic drill to match. Apply abrasive sand between the valve and the valve base. Move up and down while rotating, until the valve doesn't leak. After final grinding, install the valve on the cylinder head. Install the valve spring. Base and 2 locks. No specialized tools. Press it up with 2 ejectors. Install cylinder gasket. Cylinder head. For fixing nuts. 2 ejector pins. Into the 2 bases in front of the camshaft. Then install the rocker arm together. Hold the ejector rod below, top against the valve. Adjust the valve clearance according to the instruction manual. After adjustment, fix the lock nut. Then check it again with the cheeks. Make sure the valve clearance is in order. Finally, apply the sealant again. Install gaskets. Glue again. Install the valve chamber cover. A small handle on this side of the valve chamber cover. Idea decompression. Press this handle tightly at startup, so the engine is not compressed. Easy to rotate. This is a high-pressure oil pump. For the high-pressure oil pump and cylinder block, if there is a gasket, never add or subtract at will. Otherwise, it will affect the oil stirring in advance. Once the oil is paid in advance, it changes. The engine will not start, or black smoke after starting. Not working properly. Install the water tank and radiator fan here. This fan is generally made of silicone oil. This is a mounting frame. This is the headlight bracket. Load the fuel tank. The color red is really bright. It's also more awake and beautiful. Install the external cover. To be honest, in fact, the engine of small days. It's just that there are a lot of external decorations. It is also very troublesome to dismantle at once. There is no domestic one, and the structure is simple and concise. Here's another panel. There is a protective net. This is a brand new diesel filter. Notice that their filter element is transparent, so it's clean. Whether you see it directly or not is clear at a glance. This is really good. Connect YouTube to high-pressure fuel injection pump. This section of the oil circuit belongs to the low-pressure oil circuit. Install the intake pipe. Intake filter. Start installing the high-pressure injectors here. This is high-pressure YouTube. Upper connection injector. The lower part is connected to the high-pressure oil pump. Install the key. To install the flywheel, the belt should be installed first. Otherwise, the belt will not be easy to install. It seems that this belt is relatively large. You can directly put it through the middle of the flywheel. Adjust the belt tightness. Tighten the straightening wheel. Load the pulley. There's another shield here. Put on black protective nets. Install exhaust pipes and exhaust silencers. New oil needs to be added before starting. So far, this Kubota 2x80 engine. Even if the renovation is successful, how is the effect after the final startup? Let's wait and see. Add cooling water to the fuel tank before starting. Certainly. The oil circuit also needs to be vented before starting. Like now. Let the crankshaft turn a few more times. Let the diesel fuel fill the entire oil circuit. Be careful, there is already smoke in the exhaust pipe. It indicates that the diesel has entered the cylinder for combustion. This is normal once the engine is overhauled. It will be started several times. It's time to take down high-pressure YouTube. It is obvious that the high-pressure oil pump has pumped oil normally. The current situation. It is estimated that there is air in the high-pressure pipeline. It can finally start normally. It is normal to smoke when it first starts. After all, during assembly, there is oil in the cylinder inner wall and piston project. After working for a while, the smoke goes away. Is normal. If the smoke never goes away, look at the color of the smoke. When smoke means there is water. Black smoke means that the amount of fuel injection is too large. Core atomization may belong to burning oil. Are you excited to see this soon? The internal combustion engine is definitely a big thing. If something says it will pop, if the technology in this area is not innovative, the electric motor cannot be replaced in this regard. Internal combustion engine. Okay, so that's the renovation. The entire process of Kubota 2x80 engine. That's the end of today's video. If you like it, you can long press the screen. Appreciate 3 free little flowers. I'm Brown. Thanks for your attention. See you next time.